What's up guys, Bulls and the Bears here, and in this video I just wanted to quickly talk about the FIFO and LIFO accounting methods that pertain to my Celsius position. I did have someone comment asking me to go a little bit more in detail into that, so I decided why not, I have some time, let's make a quick video. So this may be knowledge to some of you and you don't need to watch it, but for those who are interested, here's what happens. So in accounting, there's different methods to calculate the cost of your goods. Like picture yourself being a business and you sell products. Well, when you sell something, how do you know how much money you made or how much profit you made? Well, obviously you take the sale price, but then you got to subtract the cost of obtaining that product. What did that cost you? Now, that would be your cost of goods sold. And when it comes to your inventory, sometimes the cost of the goods vary depending on when you bought them. Maybe you bought several different batches of products over the course of several months to build your inventory, and each time you bought some inventory, they were at different prices, different costs. So when you finally sell a product, how do you know which cost to choose as your cost of goods sold to realize how much profit you had? Well, that's where these accounting methods come in. So there's FIFO, LIFO, and weighted average. This is an accounting lesson for you guys. FIFO is first in, first out. LIFO, last in, first out. And then weighted average is just the weighted average. So these, are pretty self-explanatory for the most part, but I'll explain them. So first in, first out basically is the first batch of inventory that you acquired is the first thing that you're shipping out there, that you're selling. That makes sense if you're like in the food industry or something, like or beverage. Like the first batch you have is what you need to send out now so it doesn't get spoiled. Like you can't wait. You can't have that inventory sit for too long. You got to get that out as soon as you can. Last in, first out is kind of the opposite, where you're selling the most recent piece of inventory that you acquired. The last thing that you acquired in your inventory, the last batch that you bought, is the first thing you're selling. In almost like a matter of freshness. Like, this is the freshest piece of inventory I have, so I'm going to send it out now. The whole rationale of what to choose, I don't know, it depends, I guess, in what industry you're in, but it's really, I'm more concerned with the calculations and the accounting of it all when it comes to your profits and losses. And then of course the weighted average means kind of how we treat trading. Like you take the average cost, the weighted average cost of all the lots that you bought. If you bought 100 shares here, 200 shares there, 500 shares here, and now you have an 800 share position, you just want the weighted average. You just want one average cost. And whatever you sell at whatever price is going to be referring to that average cost when it comes to your profit and loss. That makes the most sense. That's how us traders kind of look at it. And you can do the same thing if you're a business and you want to just average your whole inventory cost together into one single cost and then just use that, base your sales and profits off of that. So when it comes to my Celsius position, here's what we got going on. So these are my buy orders that I had with my Celsius position. I originally bought, these were leaps by the way, I bought one leap to start it all and I paid $19.40 for it. Then I bought another one and paid $14. Then I bought two more and paid $12. And then I bought four more for $9.15. So the weighted average of all those contracts is right here. So you would say my weighted average cost is $11.75 and I have 8 contracts. That's how the position appeared in Robinhood. That's what makes sense to us as traders. And that was my position at the time. But then here's where things got a little kooky. I ended up buying another 12 contracts at $7.20. I like doubled down. Actually, I more than doubled down contract-wise at this price. When Celsius really dropped, I decided to go really heavy, and I bought 12 additional contracts at $7.20. Then the next day, I decided to kind of undo that purchase. I felt it was a little bit irresponsible to go that heavy into it. I was lucky enough for Celsius to have rallied after I bought these, so I decided to just quickly sell them for a profit and almost pretend it never happened, right? So as far as I was concerned, I was selling these contracts here. The ones that I just bought, 12 at 720, are the ones that I was getting rid of. And that's what you see here. My sell orders right here, you can see I sold 12 at 805. The very next day after buying them right here for 720. And I was kind of treating these 12 contracts as its own separate trade. So I bought 12 at 720, sold 12 at 805, and I profited 85 cents per contract. 12 contracts times $85 per contract, and I made like over 1K plus. It's horrible handwriting with this mouse. But yeah, so I made, as far as I was concerned, I made over $1,000 because I treated this as its own trade, which in accounting speak meant that I treated it as last in, first out, because these 12 contracts that I bought last right here were the first ones that I sold. I bought these 12 contracts last, and then I sold them first. That's last in, first out. That's how I treated it. And then that meant that I basically got rid of this altogether and was left with my original position of 8 contracts at 11.75. So then when I ended up selling the final 8 contracts at 9, I realized a $2.75 per contract loss, which makes sense. Bought 8 at 11.75, sold them for 9. That was a loss. So that's how I treated it. I profited on this sale, but then I took a loss on this sale. Robinhood did it differently. They were using first in, first out. So when I sold these 12 contracts, they weren't taking them from this pile right here. They were taking them from this pile of 8. So the first in, first out, which means they're saying I lost $1,100 on this one. I lost $700 or $600 on this one. I lost $400 per contract on this one times 2, so I lost $800 on those lots, and then I lost over $1 on these lots. I had 4 of them, so over $400 on those lots, and then that's 8, and I sold 12, so there's 4 more. The final 4 come from this batch where I actually profited about 85 cents. So it says I lost money on all of these, and then I made money on 4 of these, leaving a final position of 8 contracts at 720. That's what Robinhood was saying, because Robinhood said I sold all of these. Whoops. Robinhood is treating it as I sold all these, or these are gone, and I took a big loss on them. I sold 4 of these, so now this isn't 12 anymore. Now I have 8 contracts at 720. That's how Robinhood did it. First in, first out. These first contracts that I bought are now gone. The last ones that I bought are still remaining. So I says I have 8 at 720. So then when I sold my 8 contracts at 9, Robinhood was saying I made a $1.80 profit on these final 8 contracts. So it all comes out in the wash, because once it's all over and all the contracts are bought and then sold, the final profit is going to be the final profit, no matter what method you use. It really only matters like along the way what kind of method you use. So I did last in, first out, which meant I profited, as I said earlier. I profited on this sale but took a loss on this sale. But Robinhood, which did first in, first out, said I lost on this sale but then profited on this sale. Like I said, in the end, it doesn't matter. But along the way, if you're keeping your own records and you want to do things a certain way, it could differ from your broker. That's how it worked for me, and that's where that slight confusion came in when I kept talking about this. So I hope that kind of cleared up the whole situation. If Robinhood did the weighted average method, which I did not really cover here, they would have taken the average of these lots here. So these 8 contracts and these 12 contracts would have combined for 20. So let's just see what that is. 1175 times 8, so $9,400 there. So I would have had 20 contracts at 902. This could have been the other method right here. I could have had 20 at 902. And actually I did. After I bought these 12 contracts and my position went up to 20 contracts, technically I had an average of 902. That's what Robinhood showed. But after I sold the 12 contracts, it changed my average to reflect the FIFO method. But they could have easily have just kept it at my average at 902, meaning that I would have took a loss here. So about a dollar loss, a little bit less than a dollar loss on those 12 contracts, and then only a $2 loss per contract on this sale. So it would have been a loss on both, but a smaller loss on both sales. Again, it would have amounted to the same profit and loss at the end, but that's how it could have been done as well. So all said and done, it doesn't really matter which you use, but along the way, it can matter. It can matter how you choose to look at it or what your broker looks at it. As long as you are just aware of the situation, then that's really all that matters. Because it can matter if this situation happens at year end. And Robinhood says or my accounting said that I realized a profit when I sold these 12 contracts, but technically, according to my broker, I realized a loss. And that matters when it comes to taxes. So if I still had this position open, Robinhood would say I had realized a loss on the sale of the shares, and therefore my tax burden would be less in 2025 than what my records would suggest. And then in 2025, if I sold a position like this, my records would say that I realized the loss on this, on these 8 contracts, but Robinhood would say that I realized a gain, which would mean I would pay taxes on that for the year of 2025. So it can matter if the trade is still active and you enter year end and whatnot and go into the new year, but most often it's really not going to matter. But that's just kind of the nitty gritty details behind the whole thing. So I hope that was informative and helpful in any way. So if it was, hit the like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. Subscribe for more content. And as always, guys, I'll see you all next time.